Listen to in-depth personal interviews with local public figures, servants, elected officials, and even everyday citizens who are investing their time and talents to make our community better. I am your host, Lance Gormley. Our guest on the program today is Hesston Chief of Police Chris Eilert. Chris grew up just down the road in Whitewater and Furley. He attended Whitewater Elementary, later graduating from Remington High School in 1990. He later went on to graduate from Butler County Community College in 92 and then WSU in 95 with a degree in criminal justice. Chris started his law enforcement career in November of 96 in Hoisington, Kansas, shortly after attending and then graduating from the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center, CLETC, with the 145th basic class in July 97. Chris went on to work for the Hesston Police Department in March of 99 and has been there ever since, becoming the chief in October of 21. Chris is married to his wonderful wife, Arissa, and they have 3 children together, 2 boys and a girl, ranging in ages from 21 to 15. When Chris is not serving the people of Hesston and Harvey County, he enjoys hunting, fishing, camping, dogs, and golf. Welcome to the program, Chris, and thanks for coming on.
Glad to be here.
Would you turn your light on? Thank you very much. Well, I was kind of hoping that we didn't get the interview canceled today because it snowed last night, and in your official capacity, I figured, oh man, that could mean a number of things, and I know that
it does. The roads can be challenging at times,
and it seems like it's always in the worst weather when people need the most help, right?
It seems that way, yes.
Love it. I got to say, we talked about this briefly, but I was calling you and talking to you about setting up an interview, and the next thing I know, I hear you on another podcast with the local Walkthrough H-Town.
Yes.
Right? And I just have to say, I got to give a shout out to Walkthrough H-Town because I'm a listener. I listen to it. I really like the program. I don't know either of the people personally, but it's kind of nice. Most people don't know or familiarize me with being a Hesston guy too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a Newton guy, right? But I grew up in most of my elementary school years in Hesston and stuff, and I think it's really cool just to stay in touch with what's going on.
Sure.
And it's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, and I think that podcast is a great thing to locally, that it really brings a lot of interesting people from town in and gives their perspective on things. Yeah. And it's great.
And they have good personalities. I like them both.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know them. Like I said, never met them, but you hear them on the radio. So I got to give a shout out to them. Local deal. So it's always interesting to me. I've had other law enforcement or people in the justice system on, and I always ask, you know, when you were growing up, did you want to be a police officer?
The answer is no.
What did you want to be when you were growing up? In your mind's eye.
I don't even. Honestly, I can't remember what I wanted to be when I grew up. You know, I grew up in Furley. Obviously, is where I spent my formal years, and I spent a lot of time. My first job ever was at Potwin at the Farmers Grain and Warehouse elevator. I worked there till I was probably 19, I think, or so, and then I transitioned over to the Furley Co-op while I was going to school, summers, you know, working there, doing that. And honestly, I never really thought about, then I can't remember ever thinking about what I want to be when I grow up, you know, because it was kind of, that's just what you did. Yeah. I mean, my dad was born and raised in Furley and never went any further than Whitewater. And his dad and his dad's twin brother worked at what was the Furley elevator then for 45 years. And my dad worked there. He worked for his cousin Gary at Brown Oil Company for a while. So, I mean, you know, that's just kind of back then, that's what you did. You stayed local. You did the things you did. So I never really thought about it. My mom really was the pushing driving force that I was going to go to college. You know, so I went to Butler County. I started out business major. You know, that sounds great. I'll be a business major. I like numbers. I like math a lot. So I thought, man, accounting would be great. When I got to Butler and started taking classes, I noticed that all my business classes were completely full, like 30, 35 people. And it kind of dawned on me that, you know, maybe this is a pretty competitive thing. And not that I'm not competitive by any means, but, you know, maybe I should look at something else. Well, just coincidentally, about that time, a friend of mine that's a few years older than me that I went to school with, and he worked with my dad, out of the blue one day tells me, hey, by the way, I just got hired at Wichita Police Department. Had no idea he had any interest or anything. He's like, you know, when I get out of training, you should come do a ride-along. And so I did a couple ride-alongs, and man, I was hooked.